If you started to question whether you or someone you love might be dealing with porn, sex, or love addiction, you're not alone. And no, you're not crazy. Today, we're breaking down the signs in a real, no shame kind of way. Hi, I'm Laura, and welcome to Bookends of Recovery, the podcast where recovery, healing, hope, and of course, you take center stage. If you're new here, fair warning, I mix honesty with a splash of humor and a side of sarcasm. Not because I don't take this stuff seriously, because believe me, I do, but because when the bottom dropped out from my world, I needed something to keep me from completely unraveling. And sometimes that something was just laughing in the middle of the mess. For the first time in my podcast history, I'm going to issue a trigger warning because this episode includes content that could be activating for folks that are healing from betrayal trauma or struggling with pornography addiction, PA, sex addiction, SA, or sex and love addiction, SLA. So if that's you, I want you to just proceed with caution while listening and pause if you need to. I'm not going to describe anything in detail, so you don't have to worry about that, but just in case you're in that place, I just want you to be aware of that I'll be talking about it. So mainly this episode is for anyone wondering, is my partner, or am I, a pornography or sex and love addict? Or again, or maybe you're asking yourself, am I? Um, because sometimes we just don't know. Do I just have a really high libido and a thing for Instagram models, or what's going on here? And these are valid questions because the answer is just not so cut and dry, is it? Especially if we're the partner or the loved one. And I want to stress, I am not a licensed therapist. Let's get that clear. I'm an ICF ACC life coach, but that definitely doesn't qualify me to make a diagnosis. I'm a wife who's lived through betrayal trauma and came out the other side, albeit bruised and covered in therapy receipts. But what I'm sharing here comes from my own experience. I've worked with those in recovery from PA, SA, and SLA, and I held my own group with PAs, and I've walked through the healing process as the partner. So I understand it's not diagnosed, and especially with that article that just came out in Psychology today, I believe it was, that said it wasn't a real addiction, but I watched my husband turn from someone he, you know, was just a shell of himself. I turned into a shell of myself, so I will call it an addiction. So let's talk about the question that might be bouncing around in your brain at this moment. Addicted or not? It's hard to know, right? Like I said, it's not in the DSM. As I'm recording this, that has not changed. But that doesn't mean it's not real or destructive. Now, ideally, the person you're worried about would, head to a licensed professional. Bonus points if it's a CSAT, which is a certified sex addiction therapist. But let's be real, that might not happen. At least not immediately. That could be because they're in denial. Maybe they're still stuck in shame, Or maybe, like me back in the day, when someone called me out on my cocaine use, I was like, fuck you, man. I'm disappearing into the void and going to get high. So, what can you do in the meantime? One option you can check out is it's Pathos. Isn't that like the ivy? Yeah, I think so. Pathos. It's a screening tool from Dr. Patrick Carnes. He's kind of like the godfather of sex addiction. Um, and I'll link the um, test to in my notes. But here's the gist. If your partner answers yes to three or more of the following questions, it's worth seeking some professional support. First question: do you often find yourself preoccupied with sexual thoughts? Do you hide some of your sexual behavior from others? Have you ever sought help for sexual behavior you didn't like? Has anyone ever been hurt emotionally because of your sexual behavior? Do you feel controlled by your sexual desire? Do you feel sad after sex? And look, I get it. If someone's not being honest with themselves, they're sure as hell not going to be honest with a test. So, that leaves you. And I get it. A lot of times, we know something's off, but addiction is sneaky. It's progressive. And it doesn't always start with like these flashing neon signs, right? Sometimes it's just a quiet feeling in your gut. That nagging sense that something isn't lining up. So, here are some clues, I guess, some things to keep an eye on. Because it may show up in just different ways. Because before the acting out ramps up, there are little signs. Lying was a big one. Not just about big stuff, tiny things, like things that don't even that make zero sense, like saying they watered your plants while you were out of town, and then you come back and they're all shriveled up and dead, or anger issues, just overreacting to things that are so out of proportion, like road rage, that just getting so angry and staying angry for like an hour after they get home. Um, it's just, explosive responses to minor inconveniences. Emotional dysregulation was a big one in our house. Losing track of time, just always being late, or always distracted, or deadlines slipping, that perpetual time warp where the addiction is winning over everything else. So deadlines at work are being missed. They are supposed to meet you somewhere and they don't, or they're 30 minutes late, things like that. Or you may notice foo, which I love. Family of origin. I remember when my therapist first said foo. I didn't think she meant family. I thought she meant food. I was like, yum, Entenmann's. But anyway. Also, like, inappropriate jokes, like, testing those boundaries, trying to get a reaction. So that sense of, did they really just say that in front of Aunt Maud? Like, really? Seriously, you're going to say that in front of my aunt? And they'll do that in inappropriate places, just, and it'll happen more than once. Like, you'll ask them, please don't do that. You know, Aunt Rosie's going to have a heart attack if you do that again. Don't say that in front of, Nana or whatever. And then as the addiction progresses, so do the signs or the symptoms, I guess. So you'll notice loss of interest in intimacy, which I was very surprised at, because weirdly, a porn or sex addict may lose interest in actual sex. And the reason is PIDE, porn induced erectile dysfunction, right? Because it's compulsive masturbation. Uh, and shame can all tank the libido. Of course, secrets, right? Hidden accounts, um, burner phones, or those quote unquote, those just friends that don't quite feel so platonic. They may have that secret side life that you know nothing about. Inappropriate social media. Of course, we all know Snapchat, Instagram. What am I thinking? Just YouTube videos. The obsession with or Reddit. Where'd that come from? I was going to combining YouTube and Reddit. Just all the things that they're looking at on their phone or on the computer or whatever, and you're stuck wondering, what the hell? um, they may be detaching and isolating, so maybe they're staying later at work because it's just an easier way to be away from the house, or maybe they're in the next room, but they might as well be in a different zip code from you. And you're feeling lonely. Really, really lonely. They could be neglecting responsibilities, things that they used to care about. Not just your relationship and the kids, but their job, their hobbies, things that they used to enjoy. You'll notice start to fall lower and lower on the priority list because the deeper they get into the addiction, the more that becomes a priority over everything else. And of course, for me, one of the biggest things I noticed was anytime I would enter the room, click off the computer or dropping, switching screens real fast on the phone, that kind of stuff. So if you're hearing this and you're nodding along, I want you to hear this too. You're not crazy. You're not alone. You're not broken. The best thing you can do, please seek support. Whether you are the addict or you are the partner, find support. Please don't do this alone. I cannot tell you how many times I have seen people online, on Reddit, on, chats where they're like, I don't know what to do. I've tried all these things. Please don't do it alone. That's the biggest thing. I don't care if you use Reddit as your support or you use Fortify, which is what my husband and I use. Well, we used Condeo, but they're not there anymore. They switched and went over to Fortify. They are an amazing group. Use Smart Recovery for those women that are listening or men that are listening. There are other support groups out there that have your best interest in mind, and a lot of them do not charge anything. There are support groups out there specifically designed for you. So please don't be afraid to reach out. Don't hide in shame. You're not alone. I cannot tell you how many resources are available for you, and they will not judge you. So I'm going to throw a couple out there right now, just before I lose a bunch of people. But for the partner side, there's Bloom and She Recovers. That's just two, just to get you started. If you want 12 steps, there's also Essanon and Kosa. But those two are free. And for the addict, like I said, Fortify and SA and SAA. Please don't try to do this alone. Get support. But again, you can get a therapist, join a support group, read books, scream into a pillow, whatever you need to start healing. Go to my resource page. I've got a whole list of stuff. Please, recovery is possible for both of you. But it starts with facing what's real, and it starts with taking care of you. And if no one's told you today, let me be the first person. You are strong, you are capable, and you deserve peace, love, and a relationship that doesn't leave you questioning your worth. If this episode hits home, I want you to remember you're not alone. Whether you're the one struggling or you're the one picking up the pieces, recovery and healing are possible. You don't have to have all the answers today. You just have to keep showing up for yourself. And if no one said it to you lately, I see you. And you're doing better than you think. So please, I have boundary stuff on my website. I have worksheets. I have affirmations. I mean, it's all free. All those tools, all my episodes, everything is out there for you for free. I'm sorry, my dog is walking at the very end, so I'm not going to clip it. But please check out more tools, episodes over at bookendsofrecovery.com. Until next time, please take care of your heart. You deserve it. This is Laura signing off, and I'm wishing all of you an amazing day because you deserve it. Thank you.